The evening sky glowed with soft shades of gold and lavender, reflecting gently over the still surface of the rooftop pool. Daniel Kareem stood near the glass railing, his sharp eyes scanning the horizon, though his mind was miles away. As the CEO of one of the most successful companies in the city, he had everything people dreamed of: wealth, respect, and power. Yet, deep inside, there was a quiet emptiness he had never managed to fill. The sounds of laughter from the charity event behind him faded into the background as he leaned forward, breathing in the cool air, unaware that within moments, his life would change forever. Suddenly, a splash broke the calm silence. It wasn't the playful kind. It was desperate. Daniel turned instantly, his heart skipping a beat when he saw a young girl struggling in the deep end of the pool. Her arms thrashed weakly against the water, her face barely staying above the surface. Without thinking, without hesitation, he ran and dove in. The cold water wrapped around him as he reached her quickly. She was lighter than he expected, fragile in his arms. He lifted her carefully, supporting her head above the water, and guided her toward the edge. When they reached safety, Daniel helped her out of the pool and followed right after. She coughed, breathing heavily, her long dark hair clinging to her face. For a moment, time seemed to slow. Her eyes opened, wide and full of life despite the fear she had just faced. They were deep and expressive, holding a softness he had never seen before. Daniel felt something stir inside him, something unfamiliar yet powerful. He had saved many things in his life: companies, deals, opportunities, but never had he felt the strange pull toward another person. "Are you okay?" he asked gently, his voice calmer than his racing heart. She nodded slowly, still catching her breath. "Yes, thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling but sincere. Her name was Aisha. She was only 18, attending the event because her aunt worked for the organization hosting the charity. She had wandered too close to the pool while lost in her thoughts and slipped. It had happened so fast, and fear had frozen her. But now, as she sat there beside Daniel, she felt safe in a way she couldn't explain. Daniel handed her his jacket, his movements careful and respectful. She accepted it with a small smile, wrapping it around herself. He noticed how her hands trembled slightly, and he felt an unexpected urge to protect her, to make sure she never faced fear alone again. It wasn't just about saving her from the water. It was something deeper, something his heart recognized before his mind could understand. In the days that followed, Daniel found himself thinking about her constantly. He didn't know why. He had met countless people in his life, many impressive, many beautiful, but none had stayed in his thoughts the way she did. Her eyes, her quiet strength, her gentle voice, they lingered in his mind like a melody he couldn't forget. Fate, it seemed, wasn't finished with them yet. A week later, Daniel visited one of his company's community education programs. It was something he supported financially but rarely attended in person. As he walked through the hallways, greeting staff and students, his steps suddenly froze. There she was. Aisha stood near a table, helping arrange books, her face focused and calm. She looked different from the frightened girl he had pulled from the pool. She looked confident, determined. She noticed him too. Surprise filled her expression, followed by a warm smile that made his chest tighten in a way he didn't expect. "You," she said softly. Daniel smiled back, a rare, genuine smile that few people ever saw. "You're okay." She nodded. "I am. Because of you." They talked that day, longer than either had planned. He learned that she had big dreams. She wanted to study, to build a future, to prove that her circumstances didn't define her limits. She spoke with passion, her words filled with hope. Daniel listened carefully, not as a CEO, but as a man completely captivated by her spirit. For the first time in years, he wasn't thinking about business. He was thinking about her. Days turned into weeks, and their paths crossed more often. Sometimes by coincidence, sometimes by quiet intention. They talked about simple things, dreams, fears, memories. Daniel found himself opening up in ways he never had before. Around her, he wasn't the powerful CEO. He was just Daniel. Aisha, too, felt something she couldn't ignore. She admired his strength, but more than that, she admired his kindness. He never treated her as someone small or insignificant. He listened. He cared. He respected her thoughts. One evening, they stood again near the same rooftop pool where they had first met. The city lights shimmered around them like distant stars. It's strange, Aisha said quietly. That night changed everything. Daniel looked at her, his expression soft. It changed my life. He meant it. Before her, his world had been full of success but empty of meaning. She brought light into places he didn't know were dark. She reminded him that life wasn't just about achievements. It was about connection, about caring, about feeling alive. He didn't rush his feelings. He didn't try to possess or control what they shared. He simply stayed beside her, supporting her dreams, encouraging her to grow. Because real love, he realized, wasn't about taking. It was about giving. Aisha continued her studies, working hard every day. Daniel watched with pride as she moved closer to her goals. He never tried to overshadow her independence. Instead, he stood behind her, believing in her strength. One day, she looked at him and said, "You didn't just save me from the pool. You saved me from thinking I was alone." Her words stayed with him. He realized then that she had saved him too. She had saved him from loneliness, from emptiness, from a life without true feeling. Their bond grew stronger, not through grand gestures, but through quiet moments. Shared smiles, honest conversations, silent understanding. Daniel knew that love wasn't something you forced. It was something that grew naturally, like the sunrise after a long night. And in her, he had found his sunrise. Years later, Daniel would still remember that single moment, the splash, the dive, the first time he saw her eyes. He would remember how his heart recognized her before he understood why. Because sometimes, destiny doesn't announce itself with words. Sometimes, it arrives quietly, in a single moment, in a single glance, in a single heartbeat. And from that moment on, his heart was hers.